you can do that. So I had all this time, and I was blessed with a pot of cash,
Mm-hmm.
and I was wondering what to do. So I started playing in the stock market. I wanted
Okay.
a way to invest all this cash that I had, that I could no longer, because I have no employees now going to the office, and all of a sudden my payroll, I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to pay anyone, and so I have, you know, a few months worth of cash sitting in the
Uh,
bank that
uh-huh.
that is available to invest.
Okay.
So I got in, and I used to invest a little bit here and there, but it was always through a financial advisor. So you just give them your money and you tell them go make the money.
Uh-huh.
Well, now I wanted to do it myself. So I
Okay.
did that, and I had beginner's luck.
Mm-hmm.
I made a ton of money. I had
Wow.
beginner's luck,
Uh-huh.
and then I started losing money.
Okay.
Started losing money, and
Yeah.
it was painful. It was very, very painful to lose money.
Uh-huh.
So I think one day I lost. It wasn't a big amount. I think it was like $9,000
Uh-huh.
in one day. And to me, that was a huge amount of money. I felt really bad.
Okay.
Uh, but I wanted now to find out how can I not lose that kind of money and instead make the money. Because if I lost that money, it means somebody made it, right?
Yes.
So I started learning how to trade well. I got introduced to options, uh, and that sparked something in my brain.
Okay.
That is when everything just clicked, and I understood how markets worked. I understood exactly what needs to happen in order for you to make money comfortably on a regular basis. So I did everything. I researched, I read, I watched YouTube, I did everything. I reached out to people that had even some little bit of knowledge. But I also found out one other sad thing, just like in trucking,
Mm-hmm.
people don't want to give you this information.
Wow. Yes.
Anytime that you have something successful going on,
Mm-hmm.
people want to hold on to it. They don't want to release it. But for me, it was the opposite. I wanted to. There's no way I could keep this information to myself.
Yes.
So I thought, well, maybe I can make some money also teaching,
Mm-hmm.
right? So once I
Mm-hmm.
discovered how to do it and I had a system, I taught a few people, and then once again that blew up and it went just viral. And I started teaching options. So that's what
So,
I've been doing for the
Adi,
last 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
how do you go from not knowing anything about stock and stock market to
Mhm.
becoming an expert? What did it take you?
Losing money.
Losing money.
Yeah.
Because you earlier you
Yeah.
talked about having a headache in IT. For me, stock
Yep.
is one thing
Hmm.
that gives me headache. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
losing money.
yeah. Did you not find it headache to try and understand all these things about the stock market?
Surprisingly, no. That it came naturally to me.
Okay.
It doesn't come naturally to a lot of people, but for me, and I
Yeah.
never really even thought about it, but it was really simple. We've all
Mm-hmm.
been doing math,
Yes.
addition and subtraction.
Uh-huh.
But when you start doing options, you introduce another symbol that we don't use a lot, which is multiplication,
Uh-huh.
because there's leverage. It means that you can make a lot of money very, very quickly, and you can also lose a lot of money very, very quickly. So I had to understand how to mitigate that other part of losing the money. So
Okay.
my students, when they come to me and I teach them, the
Mm-hmm.
first thing we go over is risk management, how not to lose your money.
Okay.
Making the money is the simple part.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping it is more difficult.
Okay.
So I spend the time to understand not a whole lot of strategies. I just needed a strategy that could give me a few dollars, and then I
Mm-hmm.
multiply that. Once you know how to make $100, then it's easy
Yes.
to put a zero at the end. Make a thousand
Uh-huh.
dollars, make $10,000. So in my experience, I have strategies that have
Uh-huh.
worked out to where you make a lot of money. And there are days where I made $15,000 every day. And there are days I lost about as much.
Mm-hmm.
I also discovered that the way to go forward is not to make $10,000 a day.
Mm-hmm.
You will lose it very, very quickly. The stock market knows you, and it knows when you're new. So I
Okay.
discovered that the best way to make money is little amounts consistently. So let's break it down and say maybe you want to target
Yes.
$1,000 a week or something like that. That is achievable and
Mm-hmm.
it is less stressful. I'm always about reducing stress
So to
because
you, $1,000 a week, dollars a week is not. It's conservative.
I think that's very conservative, yes.
Okay.
And maybe it's because I can do that in a day. I can do
Okay.
that in 2 days. So I
Uh-huh.
know how to do that. Not everybody can do that.
Uh-huh.
And you also don't need a whole lot of money to reach that level, but you need a whole lot of knowledge.
Yes.
So you need more knowledge than money to get there. Uh,
Uh-huh.
so once I discovered how to do that and how to do it safely and
Yes.
with managing risk very very well, that's the way to move forward. If you come across somebody who's making 2 3 thousand every day,
Mm-hmm.
sooner or later, you talk to them, in a few weeks they will not be in that business.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes it's your head becomes so big and you think you're good, and that's what happened to me as well.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I've been there where I have made so much money, and then on
Mm-hmm.
one single day, I remember my single biggest loss one day was 48,000,
Mm-hmm.
and you just go in the corner, you cry for 2 minutes, and you come back and tell the wife, "Let's go for dinner," and forget about it because you know how to make that money in a few
Yeah.
days.
Uh-huh.
But that is not the best way. The best way is make a few hundred, a few thousand consistently, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how you get to be into a lot of money.
Wow. So I'm very, very amazed at what you are able to do. And um, you're someone I know to be very knowledgeable. I'm very scared most of the time when someone comes and start talking to me about stock market and
Mhm.
join me, I'll teach you to do this. I'm normally, I don't board. But I
Yeah,
think with you, I can board. Based on,
it's
I know you, I know how smart you are, I know your
yeah.
background, and I really trust what you're saying. I know you're doing very well. So, where is that business now at?
I think it is. It's probably it's kind of plateaued in the last few months, but I've seen a good potential for where we're going, and that just has to do with what the market is doing right now. So every
Mm-hmm.
time there's a bump in the market, when the market is not good, we call it a bearish market. When stocks are
Mm-hmm.
going down, your 401ks are your retirement accounts are not doing so well, people get scared and they want to hold on to their money.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the best time to learn because then you're not working with a bull market.
Mm-hmm.
You want to learn when stocks are going up, when stocks are going down, stocks are going sideways. What I teach is how to trade in all those environments. And
Okay.
the first thing that I tell students, if you have 100,000, say for instance, and you want to make a lot of money, keep it where it is. Don't bring it to the stock market.
Okay.
That is not what you want to do. Instead, you want to start small. So
Okay.
small is relative.
Mm-hmm.
If you're here in the US, maybe $3,000 to $5,000. That is what we consider a small account
Mm-hmm.
to start. And then once you learn how to manage that, and once I teach you how to double that, triple that, 10x that, because I've seen students come in with that much, and within a few months they're all the way up to maybe even 40 or 50,000. But once you manage that, you will discover that even the 100,000 that you have in your bank, you will never put it in the stock market. What people
Okay.
do wrong is to go to their savings account, take all their money, go into the stock market, and they start trading without
Mm-hmm.
knowing what to do.
Okay.
They might have beginner's luck and think this is a good thing or this is an easy thing, but they don't know the pitfalls. I also tell people that once you learn how to trade options, especially in the stock market, you need about 2 years of experience.
Okay.
The reason you need about 2 years is so that you can see the different types of markets. You can see a
Mm-hmm.
bull market, you can see a COVID market, you can see when the US is at war, you can see when There are socio-political problems worldwide. All of these things affect the stock market
Yes.
because it's also very, very subjective. It's not a binary event where if this happens, then you can expect, this other event to take place. It is not as simple as that. All of them are
Okay.
interrelated, and some of them are seemingly not related. So there's a lot of manipulation. You have to understand how not to get manipulated out of your money. This is high
Okay.
level manipulation. This is high level sophisticated trading. Now we have robots, bots, I guess, trading for people, where you don't have to spend a whole lot of time on the computer just all day.
Oh,
Now we have software that is actually trading for you.
okay.
So I don't trade all day long. That would be too stressful. I
Okay.
try to stay away from stress. So I trade for about 2 or 3 hours every day, 4 days a week. And that's all I need.
Now, Eddie, so you said you offer training. Is that, let me ask, is that paid service?
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Yes, it is. It is a paid service.
Okay.
Students go through 8 sessions in
Okay.
about 4 weeks. So it's 2 times a week for 4 weeks. So a
Okay.
total of 8 sessions. And that's just to get you into the basics of what it's all about. That knowledge that you learn out there is enough to get you started to making a few $100s every week, but it is not enough to get you to the next level. You need the support. You need the continuous support in order to grow. So once you become my student, you also join my alumni community where we trade, and you can follow me and figure out what I'm doing. Number one, I never tell you what to trade
Okay.
because I can't do that. SEC regulations stipulate I can't do that if I don't have a broker license, which I don't. I do not have a broker license.
Okay.
So I can't really tell you what to trade, but I can
Yeah.
teach you how to find good trades and how to manage the risk for every one of those strategies. So you need to learn about 3 to 4 strategies that are working for you, maybe 4 to 5 different strategies, because there are thousands or there are hundreds of and thousands of strategies that you can possibly take. And you don't need to learn all of them. Just 4 to 5 is what you need for different conditions in the market. You become good at that, and you rinse and repeat.
Okay. So you don't manage money for people, and would you advise
Nope.
people to work with brokerages, like the people who get headache when they think about stocks?
Well, what you need to, if you're going to do this, you will need
Yeah.
to touch that money somehow yourself. So you become the
Yes.
broker. What you do need is really simple things. You need a brokerage platform.
Okay.
So if you're here in the US, you can go with any of the major companies like Schwab, TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, Fidelity, all of that. If you're outside of the US, then there's a little bit of a challenge because you do need a broker that offers those services to trade in the US markets. So a good company that I know is called Interactive Brokers. I know a lot of Kenyans who already have an account with Interactive Brokers, and it allows them to set up an account, a USD account. It has to be a
Okay.
USD account, cannot be a Kenya shillings account. And with that, you have access to global markets. But you really want to have access to the US market because this is the most actively traded stock market in the world.
Okay.
No other country comes even close, not even China. So you want to learn how to trade in the US markets, the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ, American
Okay.
Stock Exchange. That is where the money is. This is
Okay.
where you make the most money. This is where you lose the most money. So I always talk about both sides. You can gain or you can lose.
Yes.
Your job is to gain more than you lose. So even I will lose money, but I have discovered how to make those or how to manage those losses so that when they do happen,
Yes.
they're very small losses, and they're necessary because We don't know how the market is going to behave 1 minute to the next. We don't have a crystal ball.
Okay.
Instead, what you have is knowledge, and what you have is a high probability of things occurring. So I teach how to read the charts, how to read information, financial, economic strategies, and the data, how things that are how reports that come out of the Fed. You're familiar with the Fed. How to interpret that information and what the markets might do. Then, as long as you have an edge, and that is what you're always looking for, you're looking for that edge, and then you adjust the probability of that edge. So I'm into a lot of math, so I like to work out what is statistically possible and what
Yes.
ranges those are in. You don't know exactly, but you have a range, and that's the information that makes the difference between you and me, or rather me and the guy sitting next to me who does not know about it. So once you get that information, then you have an edge, and you're able to act on it. You're able to do something, and you're not being greedy. You're looking for just a small amount on a regular
Okay.
basis. That
Okay.
small amount will usually just extrapolate and become a large amount over time. So that's how you want to do. You don't want to grow too fast. You want to grow slowly.
So for someone who is not doing this like full time, and they don't want to get overwhelmed, and they still want to get involved in the stock market, is it doable? What do you think?
There are two ways of doing it that I know of. There's plenty of ways, but there are two ways that I would consider. For the working professional, which
Yes.
is most people,
Yes.
they don't have the time to sit in front of a laptop or tablet to watch the stock market and trade and that kind of thing. So for those people, what I teach is how to trade passively.
Okay.
So passive trading is where you're not engrossed in the stock market every single day or every minute of the day. You only need maybe 30 or 40 minutes before the market opens.
Okay.
Place your trades at some point during the day, and then your trades should run over the course of a few days to a few weeks.
Okay.
And those are called swing traders. Basically, you open a position, you expect that position to be active for a minimum of, it could be a few minutes all the way to maybe even a few weeks.
Okay.
It just depends. That is passive trading. Then you've got the active trader, the person who actually has a lot of time, and they enter a position in the morning, and before the day is over, they're out of that position.
Okay.
That's called a day trader. And day traders have a really bad name because people say that that's where a lot of money is lost, which is true, because the fluctuations are much wider during the day than
Yes.
they are over a longer period of time. So you when you're starting out, that is not the area that you want to get into.
Okay.
You want the one that is slow and passive to begin with, and then you can increase the frequency. There's a third way. The third
Okay.
way is completely passive, where you now have to understand the difference between saving and investing. So let me give you an idea of what saving is. Saving is you save $500 every paycheck or every so often, and your goal is to spend that money on something. Maybe you're saving to buy a house, you're saving to buy a car, or whatever. That's just saving. That's not investing. Investing is when you use that money that you're putting away every week or every so often, and you can invest it into something that is growing in the stock market. Now you're investing.
Yes.
Okay. Now, part of your 401k and your IRAs, that is also investing, and that's good. Putting money in your savings account at the bank, that is not investing. That's just saving. So what
Yes.
you want as a beginning investor is to understand where can that money work for you. If the money is just sitting in the bank, just earning interest, it's not really working for you. Interest rates at the bank are very, very small. You need it
Yes.
invested in the stock market, even if it's managed by a financial advisor. And these days, by the way, you can open a self-directed brokerage account. Those are some big words, but what that simply means is that the self-directed means it's you making the decisions,
Yes.
and it's you controlling what gets bought and what gets sold. So you have to understand, what is it that I need to buy, what is it that I need to sell, and when do I need to do any of those things. So it would be good to get a little bit of education on those kind of things, because not everything needs to be managed on a daily basis or a weekly basis. Some things you just need to look at maybe 2 times a year.
Okay.
So for a lot of people, that fits the bill, where you can they always run this example that says that if you invest maybe $30,000 and let it sit, in
Yes.
about 20 or 30 years it will be $1 million. Well, how does it get to $1 million? So that's the part that you need to know. What happens between now and then? How does it get to 1 million? So the way it gets to 1 million, or whatever it is you making those decisions of what to buy. For example, mutual funds or ETFs, which are exchange traded funds, or REITs or real estate or stuff like that, inside your brokerage account, and not panicking when the market goes down, and so on and so forth. So there's also a trader psychology part of it in my course that I will teach, where you do not need to make emotional decisions.
Okay.
That is one of the things that can destroy your account. The market goes down today and you're in a panic and you decide, no, I'm selling. Well, guess what? Tomorrow is going to go back up, or next week. But we don't know that, do we? So we have to stay disciplined and use the data that we know for the last 100 or 200 years that has said this is the trend of what is likely to happen. So
Okay.
2-3 different types of investors, and there's always going to be something in there for you, but I go through all of that in my course, and my course is actually focused on active income,
Okay.
because that's what people are looking for. They're looking for a side hustle that will probably become a main hustle, or replace their job, or help them do something in a reasonable amount of time. So I do that at optionswitheddie.com.
So Eddie, I remember back during COVID, there was a lot of hype about cryptocurrency, and I remember Bitcoin was going so high, like 65K per stock. So what do you think about cryptocurrency?
I think it has a place. I don't actually trade in crypto for a simple reason. That reason is I don't understand it. It's as simple as that. But I do understand the concept of virtual cash, and being in the IT industry, I have to give it some respect and give it some mention. So crypto is, and I don't still fully understand it, but I do know that it is virtual currency. It is a way to store value inside of that digital form that it is in, and it is tradable.
Yes.
Now, there's a slight similarity when you're trading stocks. When you're trading stocks and shares and options, many times you never see those stock certificates. That's old school. Nobody sends you a certificate of shares of stock or options. So it's kind of the same thing, except that options are more widely traded in the billions and trillions, as opposed to the crypto. Crypto can get lost. Crypto can get stolen. So you have to be aware also of the technology around it, inside of how do you, first and foremost, how do you buy it? How do you trade it? How do you, if it's so anonymous, how do you figure out that it actually belongs to you? So you start understanding the concept of an electronic wallet. You start understanding the concept of how do you actually make the money. Now, obviously, you're buying low, you're selling high, or you're selling high, you're buying low. But how does that transaction take place? So for me, I have decided that there are so many ways of making money in the stock market. I don't need to get into all of them.
Yes.
I would rather start with a simple one, which is options and shares. If you want to get into crypto, you could.
But options, I hear that they are very risky because you are kind of gambling whether it's going to go up or down. Could you talk a little bit more about how options work?
Oh, I could do that all day long.
Yeah,
So
just don't go into all the
briefly,
details.
yeah.
Briefly.
So options are essentially they are leverage. So it's a really big word. So let me break it down a little bit.
Yeah.
When you're trading shares of stock, let's say you want to buy Apple, you're spending whatever Apple is trading at today. I think maybe 170 something, 160. But you can buy 10 shares of Apple for about $1,700, and you can keep it for a very long time. It does not expire, right?
Okay.
It is a store of value. You can pass it to your children. You can give it to your neighbor. You can give it to a foundation. You can do a lot of things. And the way that you make money on that share is if you, for instance, bought it at $170 per share, the only way to make money out of it is if you sell it at a higher price. For example, $200, and then you make the $30, yes? That is really simple concept to understand. And that's what people do inside of their retirement accounts and their long-term investment account. They buy low, they wait for time to pass, and then they're able to sell high and take advantage. Or sometimes the company that they buy or the shares that they buy will pay dividends, and so every month you get your shares will earn something that is being deposited in your account. So you're getting a continuous stream of income. That's one way. That's a simple way to do it. Requires a lot of capital. When you're talking about options, now you're talking about leverage, where one options contract, that is the instrument that you're working with, one options contract represents 100 shares. So already now you have 100x. It does not mean that this is now going to cost 100 times. In fact, it will cost maybe a tenth. Just to give you an example, one options contract might cost somewhere around maybe 1,000 or give or take. The difference here, one of the major difference, is that it has an expiration date. It's a contract, right? So it has an expiration date, which means that at that day that it expires, it will be worth zero. Okay, it will be worth zero. So let's further even expand that. If you had a contract to buy a house, and let's say the house is worth $500,000, so you agree that the house, you have a contract to buy the house at $500,000, and for you to lock in that price, so we're going to call the $500,000 the strike price.
Okay.
You're going to pay the seller $2,000. So you hold a contract that is worth $2,000 that you have spent up front. You've given it to the seller of the house, and the contract is that you have the right to buy the house at $500,000, right?
Yes.
But you do not have the obligation, right? You're just saying that within 30 days, let's say this contract is good for 30 days, I will be able to buy your house for $500,000, and whether the value of the house goes up or down, the price is $500,000, okay?
Okay.
But let's say something happens within that 30 days, okay? For example, all of a sudden, houses in that area become very, very pricey. Maybe something happened.
Yes.
Now the house is worth or can be sold at $550,000.
Yes.
Within the 30-day period, you can buy the house for how much? $500,000, because that's what the contract says. But the contract that you bought for $2,000, that you paid for $2,000, is now worth more. So if I decide that, you know what, I know I have the contract that says I can buy this for $500,000, but I don't have $500,000, can I sell this contract that I bought for $2,000 to my friend and say, here is this contract, you can buy this house for $500,000, even though it's now selling for $550,000? Do you think that contract is going to be worth more or less? It should be worth more, right? So maybe the contract is worth $2,500 because I'm selling it to somebody and the idea is that this contract binds the seller to sell it to you at $500. So your difference here would be the $2,000 from the 2,500 and you make 500. That's exactly how contracts work.
Yes.
Now, on the reverse side, if the market went bad and the value of the house is now 450,000, well, you still have a contract to buy at 500, regardless of whether the price of the house is now 450. So the value of that $2,000 contract is no longer 2,000. It in fact may be $1,500. So you have a loss, a net loss of 500. So what is being traded is not the house itself; it is the contract.
Option, or the option.
So the options contract. So the risk comes here from one, the expiration date. If your projection that the value of the underlying, in which case the house, is going to increase, then you have a good chance of them making the money. But if it decreases, there's a loss. Remember, you can always get out of the contract by selling it, either for profit or for loss.
Yes.
If the 30 days expire and you decide you're not going to buy the house, what happens to the 2,000? Do you get it back? And answer is no. You lose it. So the only way to make money is to sell that contract before it expires. You can either sell it and break even for $2,000, or you can sell it as a loss or a profit, either of those things. Three possibilities. So how you protect yourself is by understanding what is at risk and what can happen. So if your idea was to make money by flipping the house, buy it for 500, sell it for X amount, then that is a huge capital outlay as opposed to buying the options contract and only working with the contract itself. You never buy the house. So there's inherently a lot of risk because of a time factor and also because of fluctuation of the market. So the way to hedge that fluctuation is to buy a longer term contract, which means that you're probably going to spend a little bit more time. You don't have to buy 30 days. You can maybe buy 90 days or 6 months. You can actually buy contracts all the way up to 2 years, some of them even 3 years. But of course, the longer that you go, the more expensive it becomes. And there's all the strategies for why you would pick one term over the other. So the risk will always be there regardless. It's just higher than when you're working with straight shares. The advantage is that you make more money quicker, but if things went the other way, you lose more money quicker. So and you have to understand when your contract is not performing well, do you hold on to it and you just have hope that things are going to turn around? Well, that's not a good strategy. Instead, you cut your losses, but even before you buy the contract, you've already got in your trading plan that if it reaches a certain value, you are going to sell it. If it drops within a certain value, you're going to cut the trade and take the loss. So that second part is the one that is more important than even where you sell it for profit.
So you make the decision beforehand.
And if you have the knowledge to do that, then it is not a gamble. You know exactly what the odds are.
Okay. So that's very good, Eddie. We are already learning a lot.
Sure, absolutely.
And actually, the biggest question I'm getting is how can we connect with Eddie?
Okay. Best way is using, there's so many ways, but I'll give you one of the simple ways is to go to my website, which is optionswitheddie.com.
Hold on. I think I can give that information right here. And first of all, I hope you also don't mind me showing that
I do
number.
Not mind. Yep,
so the
website
is optionswitheddie.com.
Yes.
Let me see. I can. I think I can give that right here. So we do things here real time.
No, that's good. Yeah, that's fine.
Options with Eddie.com.
Yep. So once you hit that, that's fine. It doesn't need the dot, but that's fine too. So once you go to optionswitheddie.com, there is There's a way to contact me where you can click on get 20 minutes. I don't charge for that.
Oh,
So
20
immediately,
minutes.
yeah, you get 20 minutes free consultation with me, and that is simply just to discover. It's a discovery call where we try to figure out, is this something that is good for us to work with? So I don't take all the students,
Okay.
right? I
You
am
don't
very
take,
selective.
it's interview. You have to
It
do an
is,
interview.
yes, you're interviewing me and I'm interviewing you. I don't want to waste a whole lot of time.
Yes.
So I keep it down to 20 minutes where we discover, is it a good fit? If not, then I will give you some resources. Here's
Yeah.
something that you can do. Because my service is not exactly, it's not cheap.
Yes.
It's not cheap. It costs 3,500, which is a lot of money.
Yes.
It is a lot
That's
of money, but
dollars, not Kenya
that's
shillings.
not Kenya shilling. That's $3,500, and I'm actually going to increase that price.
Oh my.
But at the moment, that's 3,500. But that is money that will be used to teach you how to make that in a very short amount of time.
Okay.
So it is an investment. I don't like to call it a fee. It's actually an investment. You're investing in yourself and how to be able to make that kind of money in a day or in a week. And you're not
Wow.
going to make it just one time. Once you learn that skill, it's like learning how to ride a bicycle. You never forget, or learning how to swim.
Okay. So, do you normally give discounts to our viewers?
I
If
do.
we can say
Oh,
today you have special from Eddie.
Absolutely, absolutely. If and I was prepared for this. So
Okay.
if you sign up using the promotion that I'm going to give now, and I think I'm going to give it, Josie. Let's come up with a name. Shall we say Josie? How about that? Come up
Yeah,
with a keyword.
yeah, Josimenta.
Josie Mentor. So if you say Josie Mentor in the comments section when you sign up,
Uh-huh.
I will immediately give you $500 off.
Uh-huh.
So that will bring down the price to about 3,000.
Okay.
So that's I give a discount
That's
once a
awesome.
year.
I'm
So
putting that
you
in
get
for
five hundred
down
dollars.
so that, yeah, people got that. So we do have a lot of people who are watching you, and there's a lot of interest in what you're talking about. And I hope people will reach out to you and sign up.
Awesome.
So, in your
I
opinion,
also
if someone pays that money, it's not going to get lost, because you're saying you can potentially make this same kind of money in a week, and then it's a lifelong skill that you
absolutely.
gain.
So absolutely, it's better than the 3,000 that you pay to university for one semester. In
Yes.
fact, one semester of college is about that much actually, maybe even more. These days, it's about what, $6,000 per semester.
School is
In
very,
the
very
university,
expensive.
it is expensive. I have three kids in college right now, and they are kicking me. So it's super expensive. But it's the same thing as when you invest in a semester of college or a certification course, something that will help you almost immediately.
Okay.
So there are no guarantees, by the way. Just like when you go to trade school and they teach you how to be a welder or how to be a carpenter, it's the same thing. It's up to you to put in the work. You're going to put in a lot of work, and the college or the school does not say that we guarantee you're going to go make $200,000 a year. No, we don't.
Yes.
They just say you now have the potential using what we have taught you to do that. It's the exact same thing. Because this is a sensitive thing, it has to do with money, how to make money. It's the same thing that I tell my students. When you come in, you have to have the right, and that's what that interview is all about, where we
Yes.
discover what it takes and whether you are able to follow through. Because there's a big difference.
Yes.
Big difference in terms of learn the material, sit on it. If you learn the material and sit on it and say, I'm going to wait until I'm ready, I think it's much better if you just wait until you're ready, come take the class, but don't take the class and then go sit at home and wait.
Yes.
You're going to lose
bet-
it.
Okay.
and the markets will have changed between now and that time. So
Okay.
it's very important that you follow through, or a student follows through all the way from start to finish, so that there is no lapse in that education, and also so that I can hold your hand. So
Okay.
for the first few weeks, even after you finish the program, remember the program is 8 weeks, but that's just the beginning of the relationship.
8 weeks. So what is,
Yes,
first of
sorry,
all, what's
sorry,
the
4 weeks. Yeah, 8 sessions. I'm sorry, let me clarify that. That's four
okay.
weeks, 8 sessions. Go ahead.
So I was going to ask, what is the format of your class? Is it personalized? Because you said there, if you're a professional, you might want to do it a bit differently if you don't have
Yeah.
enough time to focus on this. So what's the format of your class?
Good question. So the format is it's live weekly training, first and foremost. It's via Zoom, so that's me talking in front of the class live. We do a lot of hands-on. So
Okay.
I'm going to walk you through step by step. What's the first step, second step, so on and so forth. On the website, once you go to optionswitheddie.com, you will see exactly what that entails. You've got the coaching schedule. You're going to also see what the program summary is all about. So it's all on that page. I don't know whether you can bring up the website at the same time or not,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
but anyway,
I actually
that
should
be.
be able to. Let me look it up. Yeah, let me look it up. Options with Eddie.com, and it better be working.
Oh
Hold
yeah,
on.
yeah.
It better be working, Eddie.
It better be.
You're a
Otherwise, it
IT
would be.
person. Yeah. Let us see. Let me try. Uh, there. There.
Awesome. Cool. Yep. So stay right there. Let's describe a few things while you're still up there. At the
Okay.
top right, you notice where it says quick meeting. That is where you
Quick
want
meeting right
to,
here.
yeah, that's where you want to schedule 20 minutes with me. And
Okay.
then scroll down a little bit now on that page.
Okay, scroll down.
So you can see what you will learn. It's a few
Okay,
bullet
right there.
points about exactly what it is. I try to keep it as simple as possible,
Okay.
and give you a description of what the course is all about.
Okay.
If you keep scrolling further down, then you will get more information about the format. You get some information about myself.
Yes.
Keep scrolling down. You get you can keep going. Look at the outcomes and look at the differences between what I'm teaching and what is being offered out there. And then if you
Okay.
keep even scrolling further down, then you will see what it takes to get ready.
Okay.
You will also get the program summary. And that's the last thing that you see down there. So all on one page. I try to keep it as simple as possible, but we get into more detail. But just to
Yes.
give an overview of what students need to know is that
Yes.
you will have access to a wealth of information. You will have over 100 videos of me teaching different topics once you sign up. So in addition to what we're going to go through class, you will have access to more than 100 hours or 100 videos of instruction. So that's a lot of instruction that would not be very helpful if you just binge watched every day and all that. That's not good. It's not healthy. You want
Yes.
to go topic at a time, but the fact that you have access to that once you sign up for the course, that is a wealth of information just by itself. The other thing that you get is the one-on-one. You have at least another one-on-one instruction with me outside of
Okay.
that 8 session, because every class, by the way, has a maximum of 10 students.
Okay.
Okay, the 11 students has to join the next class, and I
Okay.
have several classes every month. So you get one-on-one instruction, consultation, and it's not there's no additional cost. The cost that you pay up front, that's all you ever pay. So the idea is that I get to know you, you get to know me. We figure out what your personality is, your trading style, where you need help, and that kind of thing.
Okay.
But that's not it. You also get access to the alumni. So you get access to hundreds of students who've taken my course. And these people have been with me for more than 2 years.
Okay.
So but I've been teaching this for about 3 years. So I've got students who are coming back from the 2000s or to 2021, and they're still in the alumni, very, very active every day. And the reason they're in there every day is because there's money to be made every day.
Okay.
So they're very eager to help new students. They're very eager to help anybody who's having a challenge. And sometimes you need that extra set of eyes just to let you know, is a trade going well or it's not going so well? What should I do? What's the idea? How do I fix this? And believe me, problems come up every single day in the market. So my phone is always ringing during market hours, and I try to be there for the students.
Okay.
So,
So
um,
the other question I was gonna ask you, because some of us have day job, is what time are your classes typically?
so I've got two main times: 6 o'clock Eastern time and 7:30 Eastern time. So they're designed for working professionals, because most people who have a day job need to get home, maybe need to work until 5 o'clock. Right? So 6 o'clock Eastern is great for those people. And then the reason I have a 7:30 Eastern class is because I also have a lot of students on the West Coast, and there's a 3-hour difference between my time zone, which is I'm on the East Coast. So the 3-hour time difference between us and the guys on the West Coast. I also have a lot of people over in Europe and Asia. Japan, for some reason, I have a lot of students coming from Japan.
Okay.
A lot of Africans from West Africa, actually, who work. They're all English-speaking West Africans. They're I don't know how my link got there at the embassy in Japan,
Wow.
and so it's
Yes.
fortunate. So I picked up a lot of students.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of students out there, and we are almost 24 hours different. It's a huge time difference. When we meet in the morning, it is midnight their time, but they wake up and come to class. And if they're not able to make the class, they can always watch the recording, because all the classes are recorded.
Okay.
So that's a good thing to know.
Could you repeat for me again how many times a week? I'm still trying to fit myself in your class. How many
It
times
is
a
two
week?
times a week.
Yeah,
It is 2 times a week,
Yes.
Mondays and Wednesdays.
Okay.
So Mondays and Wednesdays, you are either going to be in the 6 o'clock class or the 7:30 p.m. class, one of the
Okay.
two. Unless you have a very special schedule, so it's rare, but it is
Yes.
still possible to create a schedule for a particular set of students. There are some people who have a traveling job, and so they would prefer to just do once a week, because they need
Yes.
practice in between the classes. So for those people, I will work one-on-one, and that's the purpose of that 20-minute consultation, where we figure out what schedule works best for you and I. So there's that,
Okay.
and I try to minimize that, because then it takes up a lot of my time. Remember, one person who likes to take stress away. I want the easy way, and it's possible. Believe me, it's possible to take stress away. So if I can take that stress away, I will do that.
Okay.
But I like to work with my students, because they benefit, I benefit.
Yes.
Yep.
So
One more thing. Go ahead. I offer a
I
free
had a
class
question
on
here.
Saturdays.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Someone had asked what age groups do you take?
Okay. So I used to have a kids program, because I have children, and I don't do that too much anymore. But there is no age limit. For as long as you can open a brokerage account in wherever part of the world that you are in, then you are eligible. So
Okay.
if you can open a bank account and a brokerage account, I think that's the minimum qualification.
Okay.
So I actually have, I've taught 14-year-olds and 16-year-olds. For them, I would have a different program, and I do have a different program for them
Mm-hmm.
because they are not able to do everything that a regular adult in a regular brokerage account would do.
Okay.
There are restrictions in terms of options. For instance, my daughter, who is actually 17, my last born,
Mm-hmm.
cannot do options. She can only do shares,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's a
Mm-hmm.
restriction that I cannot remove until she turns 18 and the brokerage now allows or changes her account into
Yes.
a regular account as opposed to, I think they call it a minor account.
Mm-hmm.
She's not yet of age. So once she reaches that, but she can still learn. She's 17. She started when she was 16.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. So there are children who are very excited about the stock market, like my son who is 11. So
mhm.
maybe
Yeah,
he'll come to you one
yeah,
of these days.
yeah, and there are tons of resources for those kids because they have an advantage that we do not.
Mm-hmm.
They have a sharper mind. In my opinion, those kids have sharper minds. They have a greater risk profile. They're able to see things that we're not able to see. So I also learn a lot from these kids. Like when I teach the high school students in Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
they come up with some questions I had never think about because
Yeah.
in the environment in which I grew up, those are
Mm-hmm.
not things that were presented.
Yeah,
So
the kids nowadays are very sharp and they're getting a lot of information from everywhere. So
yes, yeah, they're very smart, very very smart.
I had another question. Someone was asking, is the cost only for 4 weeks training? And I think you may have answered this because I had
Yeah,
8 weeks.
sorry, yeah, the 8 weeks was a misstatement. It's eight
Okay.
sessions. So
Oh,
the
eight
course is
sessions.
Yeah, the course is 4 weeks, but that
Yes.
is just the base instruction. It doesn't the instruction does not end there.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the class every
Mm-hmm.
week, 2 times a week for 4 weeks,
Yes.
but the real exercise now comes after you've got all of that together because you do need the foundation. There's some
Mm-hmm.
students who are very, very quick and they're able
Mm-hmm.
to start trading live in their live accounts. So let me clarify what that means.
Mm-hmm.
When you start trading, you don't start in a live account with real money.
Ah.
You start with paper money or a paper trading or a demo account, and I teach you how to do that. The purpose of that is to teach you what to press, where to go, how to do it, how to calculate, and all that. There's a lot of math involved. And then once you're comfortable, you can now start trading live, one trade maybe a week. So during that 8 weeks, you might do several trades live, but the majority of your trades are going to be in a simulated environment. Now,
Okay.
once the class is over, you're not lost because you join the bigger group
Mm-hmm.
and you're able now to either trade on your own or join the group and trade with us. Uh, but the instruction never stops. Like I said, you need about a year and a half, a year to 2 years just to get comfortable into those high numbers. If you get into those high numbers quickly,
Mm-hmm.
that's good, but it's not sustainable. You want to grow into those numbers.
Okay. So now I know you said about not using the real, okay, like a test account or something. Now the accounts you use or the applications, is that an additional cost that people have to be aware of? Or the
Yeah. So
platform?
absolutely. So
Mm-hmm.
the platform to open an account does not cost any money. For example, to
Mm-hmm.
get a simulated account,
Mm-hmm.
I'll give an example here with one of the brokerages called TD Ameritrade,
Mm-hmm.
who just recently got bought by Schwab.
Mm-hmm.
So to open an account, all you need is the proper identification. I think it's a social security number, a bank account. That's it. You don't even have to put money inside the account, and
Mm-hmm.
immediately you get a simulated account with that. The only caveat is that you don't get real-time data
Mm-hmm.
inside of the simulated account. So you're working with delayed data, which can actually be very dangerous. So
Okay.
the only way around getting that delayed data is they have a minimum and say to get the free real-time data, you need at least $500 in the account.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not paying them 500. You're just putting 500 of dollars available to invest inside of your real account, and with that, you immediately get a simulated account, and you immediately get real-time data. You can choose any broker. Here in the US, we have got many choices. Outside of the US, there are very, very few choices. So I said Interactive Brokers is one of them. I don't know what their minimums are,
Okay.
but I think they're outside the US. It's a bit more restrictive than here in the USA. So,
Okay. So
by
you
the
don't
way,
have like your own special. There are people who say, "Oh, we have this software and it's only me. You can only get it from me." So you just use the tools that are already available publicly.
absolutely, and that's the way it needs to be. The concepts
Yes.
that I teach and the principles that I teach are foundational and also advanced, and they should work regardless of which environment you go to. And
Okay.
that's the important thing, because I have a worldwide audience, and I cannot say that just go to my platform and that's the only way things are going to work. That would be bad.
Yeah.
So I will, what I teach you, you can go apply in any market, almost any market.
Yeah.
I have also a lot of students in Canada that are not able to trade exactly the same way, and they have easier restrictions. And
Okay.
I had to tailor my program just for the Canadians, so that they could work. But essentially, my program will teach you to work in pretty much anywhere in the world. I also did a live class in the UK, just a few, maybe last year or something like that, or the year before. And the concept is the same. It transfers from the US to the UK to Japan to South Africa, which is another place that I have a lot of students. So the concept should be, you should be able to use them regardless of where you are, regardless of
Yes.
what platform that you're using.
Okay. There's
Yeah.
another term I see Kenyans talk about. I don't know, all over Facebook. I hear about forex trading. Come, I teach you about forex trading. What exactly is that?
Okay, good question. So Forex is where you're actually trading in foreign exchange, basically money. The
Okay.
instrument that they are trading is almost always a pair. Actually, it's 100%. It's always a pair of two currencies. So to give an example, you are trading the US dollar versus the Kenya shilling, or the US dollar versus the euro, or the British pound. Your thesis is that one or the other is going to increase in value or decrease in value, and your
Yes.
profit is the difference between the two. Let's give a straight
Okay.
example. Let's say you decide you're going to trade the US dollar and the Kenya shilling, and you decide that you have a thesis that the Kenya shilling is going to increase, or the
Yes.
US dollar is going to increase in value from 130 to, say, 130 per dollar to 150 per dollar. So you buy the US dollar, right? You buy the US dollar when it is at 130 shillings, and when it reaches the value reaches 150 shillings to the dollar, you sell it, right? And the
Yes.
difference there is the 20 shillings. That's forex. Now, I don't teach forex.
Yes.
Not that there is not a lot of money in it, but I think it's just another commodity that you can trade. So I teach purely options on shares, which
Okay.
is a huge market. It is the biggest market when
Okay.
it comes to the stock exchange. So forex
Yes.
is it has an easier entry point.
Yes.
It has a global market as well,
Yes.
and it may even have lesser risk, but the returns are not as great, because you're getting just pennies on the currencies that you're getting, as opposed to dollars on the underlying that you're trading when it comes to options. So it is a viable business. I know a lot of people who do forex,
Okay.
but almost everybody who does options never goes back to trading forex. Another one that you might hear about worldwide is futures.
Yes.
where you're trading contracts on things like oil, soybean, coffee, commodities of every nature, gold, silver, even forex itself. So there are many ways that you can take advantage. Again, like we said, you have hundreds, if not thousands, of ways that you can trade in the stock market. You don't want to learn all of them. That's way too much information. Instead, you want,
Yeah.
four to five, consistent, easy to learn, easy to master, and they take you put the money in the bank every day or every other day. Keep it simple.
Okay.
So
Thank you. As I
you're welcome.
said, Eddie, you're one person I would trust if I was to do this. I'm always very suspicious when someone comes and start telling me about stock market and come I teach you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just have a bad taste for it, especially for people who have lost money, which we have. So we're like,
Yeah.
we lose the money and we give up, and we're like, no, it's too much headache. I don't want it. So
Yeah, I've been there before, and I also had the same opinion because I follow some very high-profile people who have said day trading is they almost equate it with a sin. They
yes.
say that it's not a good thing, and that is true for a lot
There's
of
this
people
app.
who
There was an app when there was a lot of vibe about cryptocurrency. I don't remember what's the name. And
with
we
Robin
got,
Hood or something like that.
yeah, Robin Hood. You
Yeah,
are
yeah.
there
So Robin,
trading without knowing
yeah,
what we are doing, and we lost money. I'm sure a lot of people lost money with Robin Hood. So I don't know.
the key
Yeah.
there that you just said is you did not know what you were doing,
Yes.
and you did not spend time to learn how to do it, whether it's free or paid. With everything that anytime there is money involved,
Yeah.
you need to learn how to do it. My
Mm-hmm.
policy is if I'm going to spend $10, I better know what I'm buying. If I don't
Yeah.
understand what I'm buying,
Yes.
then maybe I shouldn't do that, or I should be ready to lose that $10.
Mm-hmm.
That's my policy. So when you're spending your money, and especially when it comes to investing money,
Yeah.
then you need to understand exactly how that process works and how it is that you make money. Instead of just buying and hoping that you're going to make money somehow, but you
Yes.
don't know how, that opens you up to not just fraud, but also just losing 100% of your capital.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not the first one I've heard who say that. Even a lot of my students actually come from a position of difficulty. I came from a position of difficulty where I had just lost money and I was looking for somebody. I was ready to tell them, take my money, make me some money, and you keep the rest.
Yes.
But there's no such person, right?
Okay.
Maybe a crook will take the money. Don't
Yes.
ever go for that. Instead, what I discovered was I better learn how to do this
Yes.
so that it never happens again. Or if it does happen, it is not to the scale that it did. Because I think I was part of that wave that just got in headfirst, and I was
Yes.
told, or I believed that there is money and there's tons of it, and it's just mine to take, right?
Yes.
Well, I ended up giving up, a lot of it. But the good thing is, I took the time, I learned it, I know how to use it. I've turned it around, made it into a business, made it into a part of my daily life where I am not employed. I do not have a job. Actually, I call my job what I do every day, which is work a
Wow.
couple of hours a day, and I can do the rest of the things that I love. Love to travel, love to just do a lot of things for fun.
That's just awesome. That's just awesome. And I'm so happy to have hosted you here. I think this is a new beginning. I was going to ask you, do you still do bookkeeping? It's currently tax period, and I'm sure there are people who need help. Is that something you're doing or not?
I do not. So I do bookkeeping for truck drivers, but I don't do their personal taxes or their business taxes. I
Okay.
do fuel taxes now.
Okay. You do fuel
That's a very
taxes.
I do fuel taxes for commercial carrier companies, and
Yes.
that's the core part of one of my businesses, which is the Trip Sheet Central. That is what I do.
Yes.
And again, I have automated all of that.
Okay.
to where it is now completely 100% self-service. So when people subscribe to my service, they don't even have to be, like I said, they don't have to be accountants. All they have to do is put their information, their
Mm-hmm.
trips, their expenses, their fuel. The program automatically calculates that.
Okay.
I use APIs. You're familiar with APIs that get tax tables from the IRS. It
Yeah.
does. I have written the formulas
Mm-hmm.
that have actually been vetted by many states. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of my my customers have been audited by, for example, the state of Texas, state of Florida, state of
Mm-hmm.
Georgia. They have audited, and one auditor
Mm-hmm.
from Florida actually asked the company who did this,
Mm-hmm.
and they thought that they were wrong. And said, "Man, I wish we could just send people there because it is spot on." In
Yes.
accounting, if you're
Mm-hmm.
1 cent off, something
Mm-hmm.
is wrong. There's no reason in accounting, unless it's a rounding issue,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
which does happen, especially with today's software with floating points and so on and so forth. Unless
Yes.
it's a rounding issue, in essence, you should never be off by 1 cent.
Mm-hmm.
It should always be exact.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been able to do that successfully for 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
So so no, I do not do taxes. It's taxes. I actually don't do my own taxes.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
You
I
outsource.
have a C. I would outsource.
Mm-hmm.
My CPA is actually still in St. Louis, and he just retired.
Oh, yeah.
So now I'm in the market for a new one.
Oh, really?
Yes, but I'll go with the local one from Georgia.
Okay. Thank you, Eddie. By the way, did we leave out anything that you would like to tell our listeners?
I think perseverance. My
Mm-hmm.
story is probably common or not common. I don't know which one, just depending on where you're looking at. But
Mm-hmm.
my story is one of that has taken a really long time. So understand that to get to where I am, it
Mm-hmm.
did not take me 10 years. It has taken me all of the time that I have been here in the USA, and it started a long
Yes.
time ago. So it
Mm-hmm.
is not an overnight success for people wanting to come to the USA.
Mm-hmm.
That's a dream. That's great. But guess what? We are now trying to go back to Kenya,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we're
Exactly.
now investing in Kenya. We're now on the other side where
Mm-hmm.
we're now investing in properties in Kenya. Not that we're tired of the USA. It's
Mm-hmm.
just that uh, for the longest time we've been trying to make things happen here, and now
Mm-hmm.
it's time to connect with home. So it's mostly sentimental. One of the
Mm-hmm.
sad stories I actually tell is that my first few years here in the USA were very lonely.
Yes.
You try so hard to
Yes.
forget Kenya so
Uh-huh.
that you don't feel that emotional distress. And
That's right.
unfortunately, it happens. You
Mm-hmm.
finally forget because you tried so hard and you finally
Yes.
forget. Well,
Yes.
guess what? The pain comes back years later where you're now like, man, I
Mm-hmm.
forgot my country. I wish I could go back home. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a whole different another psychology that we never look at.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm in that process now where I'm trying to reconnect with, you know, friends from 30 years ago, 35 years ago, don't know where they are,
Yes.
and where do you start. And then sometimes you get frustrated and you say, you know what, why am I even doing this? My kids will never even migrate to Kenya.
Uh-huh.
Why am I even buying property in Kenya?
Uh-huh.
My kids go there and there's a language barrier. uh, just come back to the USA. So again, we're a set of confused people, and that's what it costs to come to the diaspora and be successful and forget your country, and then now you're trying to reconnect. So we don't exactly forget; we're just trying to kill those emotions. So that's the painful part of just being out here for so long. I've lived here longer than I
Mm-hmm.
have lived in Kenya. So when I came, I was just a young kid out of high school.
Do you have any regrets about coming to diaspora?
No, no,
No
I do
regrets.
not. When I left Kenya,
Lessons
it was a
learned?
one-way ticket. Yeah, it was a one-way ticket. I was distressed. I was
Mm-hmm.
sure I wanted to go and never come back. I was 100% sure. Now, not so much, but I'm 90% sure that you know, that it's good. I have no regrets. I met my wife here. We got married here, so that's good. Got kids, so that's something did come out of it.
You build a
I lived a
life
good.
for
I
yourself.
built a good life. I have impacted a lot of people in my path, so I
Yes.
have absolutely no regrets. In fact, in my whole life, I don't
Uh-huh.
think I have that many regrets. I don't live to regret because my policy is that when I make a decision, at the time that I make the decision, I have enough information to make that decision, and it is correct at that time. If things change,
Mm-hmm.
it just means I need to change. There's no
Yes.
time to regret. Otherwise, I'll just be there. It would be so pitiful. So, as a business person, you cannot do that. You cannot live on that emotion of regret and I wish I could have done that. I wish I would do this. You just need to make the decision based on what you have, and you never wait for 100% readiness. If you wait until you're 100% ready, you will never be ready. So, readiness to me, if you're 60, 70%, 80% ready, you go for it. If you don't take the risk, somebody else will. And guess what? They're going to be 2, 3 steps ahead of you. So take the risk, uh, and do that.
And do you have any lessons learned that you can tell that person that is just getting started?
Uh, don't give up, but also don't try too hard if it's not working. It's kind of odd, isn't it? Have you ever had that kind of advice? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
don't try too hard. Well,
Mm-hmm.
my policy is if you have a vision and you want to work with it, you also need to be reasonable about what is possible.
Okay.
Go find out what is possible and don't try to do something that is impossible. Instead, and I'll use a cliche here, is go for the low hanging fruit, get some goals, and if you're reaching for the one branch and you do not have to jump to reach that branch, then your goal is too low. You need to
Good.
jump to get to that branch. And once you get there, you need now you need something else. You need a ladder. You always need to be growing. If you stay in the same spot, uh, you'll be overtaken by events, and you will never grow. You have to keep growing. You cannot sit back on your laurels and say that I am where I am. I'm now a millionaire. What else is there to do? No, you need to keep growing, and you have to have a reason for that. Find your reason, and it doesn't have to be like what your neighbor has. It just has to be what's in your heart.
Wow. Guys, that's Eddie. That's Eddie. You have heard a wealth of information, a wealth of knowledge. I would say reach out to him. If you want to learn about the stock market, go look up his website that he shared over there, which is Stock Options with Eddie. And I believe we're going to be bringing Eddie back to talk about the tracking, to talk about what else, Eddie, can we talk about?
Oh, we can talk about a lot of things. I'm in transportation logistics, so that's another passion that I
Yeah.
like. I get a lot of questions. I mentor truck drivers also trying to get into that
Mm-hmm.
space. I
Okay.
have a program for or a path to how to invest in that. Again, you're never
Yes.
investing with me. It's always your money. You do what you like. But
Mm-hmm.
I do have a path, and it all almost always has to do with money and money management and how to grow as a business person from
Mm-hmm.
start to the next step. So
Okay.
everybody has potential. You don't have to have a minimum. You just have to have a dream, a vision, and somebody to hold your hand.
All
What we're
right.
missing actually, or what we
Mm-hmm.
didn't have actually a lot, is somebody to hold my hand and show me the right things to do, or even just 1 or 2 things. Everybody needs that. So if you can find someone to mentor you,
Mm-hmm.
hold your hand, show you 1 or 2 things, don't expect them to show you everything. Just a couple of things,
Mm-hmm.
and go with that.
And that's what we are doing right here at Mentor Network. Eddie, you are continuing to make a difference. You are continuing to give back through what you have learned and sharing that knowledge. So thank you. We are so honored to have you today. We had so many people, and we want to tell them thank you for joining us. I would like to recognize a few of them, Eddie, and you'll be welcome next time. So thank you. See you later, Eddie. We'll talk behind the scenes. Otherwise, I would like to recognize the people who joined us today. I'll tell you, I can see you, Jane Juguna, Wachira Garuri, and John Makori, Nancy Mwagi, Sherry Polly, thank you. Julie, thank you, Julie. Thank you, Carol, and Becky, and Dave, and Carrie. So many people. Grace, thank you so much. Wajiko, Amani, Asante Amani, Lawrence, Willie, Baldas, Collier, I hope I'm saying that correctly. MC Jimmy, Miners, Eliza, Regina, Janet, thank you. And Becky said, thank you for being a mentor who nurtures dreams, fosters growth, and illuminates possibilities. God bless you. And thank you, Susan, Sarah, Josiah, Great Kyoko, also post your video. And tomorrow, by the way, tomorrow morning, we are going to have a service, a Sunday morning service. So God bless you guys. We'll see you later. It was fun spending some time with you this afternoon. God bless you. Talk to you.
All right. Thank you.